Hi, I'm Luke Harmon. I've owned 4 companies. 1 failed miserably. I've successfully exited 2, and now I'm the founder of Serendipity, where we help B2B SaaS founders grow, scale, and exit. Today, I'm going to talk about how to build your company for the highest valuation possible. Now, this video, just to warn you, might be a little longer than the others, 10, 12 minutes, but I promise you, this is going to be a game changer for you. So when you think about, maybe you want to exit your company one day, maybe you don't, but the key is you need to give yourself the option to. You need to begin with the end in mind. You need to position yourself so that when you're building a company to a place where you're going to be in the driver's seat to be able to do with it what you will. So make sure, I'll walk you through the steps today. Make sure you stick around to the end where I'm going to give you the Valuation Navigator, which walks you through these steps and can become your guiding light. So here's the challenge as a founder. Here's what happens. Let's say you have 20 employees on your org chart, or 20 positions on your org chart. That doesn't mean you have 20 employees. That means that there are 20 functions that are happening at your company, and sometimes you're wearing the hat of the CEO. Other times maybe you have to jump in and wear the hat of an account manager or a support specialist, or you got to go sign the lease and then you got to take out the trash. The problem and the challenge with that is, how the heck do you jump from being in the weeds to making critical, board level, founder level decisions in a moment's notice when you got to jump from those? It's incredibly, incredibly difficult to keep perspective. But on the flip side, if you can, and this framework I'm going to share with you today will give you the means to do this. If you can have a framework for thinking, it gives you perspective when you need to make those decisions. Not only will it make them so you can do them really quickly, it reorients you so you know really fast, okay, I need to make this decision. Here's my framework for that. Make the decision, move on, and ultimately grow your business, keep your business heading toward your true north and the highest valuation possible. I remember at Profits for Purpose, our SaaS company, the day when I learned this. So we decided we were going to sell the company, and we hired we started interviewing a bunch of investment bankers. And I have to give a shout out to my friend Ed Cox, because he's a friend of mine that he'd been on the buy side and sell side of dozens of transactions. And he kind of educated me, because up until this point, I was like, when you sell a SaaS company, like what, would you just make up the number? Is it the best negotiator gets it? And he's like, no, like it's almost like, think of it like buying a house. If you talk to a realtor and you're about to buy a house, that realtor will say, look, no, we don't just pull the number out of thin air what the house is worth. Is there good school districts? How close to the beach are you? What's the square footage? There's a framework for this is how a home is valued. Same exact thing for a SaaS business. So that's what I'm going to walk you through today. There's 7 factors that impact the business. And once again, this video is a little bit longer, but trust me, these 7 are you want to learn them. So this is how it works. Step 1 is you look at comparables. And what's available is public SaaS companies. So, and the way I'm going to talk about this is in terms of a multiple of revenue. So when I say of trailing 12-month revenue, so when I say 9x, that's 9 times revenue. So that's where you start. That's publicly available, publicly traded SaaS companies. That information is available and is updated monthly. It's typically around 9 times revenue. So that means that if your SaaS company is 10 million in revenue, that your starting point is $90 million. That's pretty crazy, but that's a fact. That's factually backed up. So then step 2 is private company discount. The reason there's a discount applied is because it's a private company, it's more volatile, and hence more risky. Also, it's not liquid. You can't grab the money out of it. So across the board, that's updated every month as well, but it's about 2.5x. So you start at 9x revenue, now you're at 6.5 revenue. Step 3 is growth rate. So you need 50% growth rate at least to stay at 6.5 times revenue as far as your valuation. If you're in your first couple of years, that growth rate's probably going to be like 100 or 200%. It needs to be to maintain that valuation. But over time, as you mature, it's harder to maintain the growth rate. So about 50%. let's just say you're at 80% growth rate. So let's say you go from 6.5x to 7.5x. That's where you're valued. You're a $10 million company. You're worth $75 million at this point. Your fourth factor is TAM, total addressable market. So that's the rule of thumb is like, if every customer that could buy your product bought your product, would the revenue be $1 billion? That's kind of that's the mark that would keep you at your 7.5x there, where we are. Let's just say you're there. Fifth is revenue retention. So this is a biggie. This is churn, right? If you're a founder, you're incredibly concerned with churn. So, but here's the key when you think about this. Don't think of it as client churn and client turnover, because if you're a SaaS founder, like one thing you're gonna have to wrap your heart and head around really quickly is that churn is part of life. It's part of the equation. So what you wanna think about here is revenue retention. So what do I mean by that? If you have 100 customers and you lose one that pays $30,000 a year, but at the same time, 3 of your customers just increase their contract by $10,000 each, another $30,000, your net revenue retention is at 100%. So you're going for 100%, but don't think of it like net client retention. That's an impossible number. You'll pull your hair out, you'll go crazy. Think of it like net revenue retention. So let's just say you have that, you stay at that 7.5. No, it's for the sake of argument, let's say you don't have that. You have 95%. Okay, that brings you to 7. So you're 7x. Your sixth one is gross margin. It needs to be at 75%. That's the number to maintain at that multiple for what you're being valued at. If you're a SaaS company, you're pretty easily going to hit that. That's going to be kind of the no-brainer of these 7. So basically what that means is, at 75% gross margin, the 25% would be like the amount to run the business if you stopped any growth, anything. If you were like, we just need to service customers and that's it. Server costs, customer support, is it 25% of all your overall expenditures would give you 75% gross margin. Let's just say you hit that, so you're staying at that 7x that we have kind of called it out. And then the seventh factor here is customer acquisition cost. This one's weird, and I want to take the time to explain this one because this one is like so counterintuitive. And I know we're already at 7 minutes, but this one you have to wrap your head around because think of a different business. If you are a fan of just business, let's just take a really basic one. Let's take a restaurant. So if you run a burger joint, it costs you $2 for the burger. Overhead is another $2, so like $4 to make a burger. You sell it for $6. You're making $2 every burger. And you need to, because you buy inventory, you sell it, you need to make money. That's how you feed your family. So that's the arithmetic, that's the math. But don't think of SaaS as arithmetic. It's different. It's multiplication. It can become calculus really quickly. So you have to think differently. It's counterintuitive. And if you want your business to be valued at the highest level, you gotta start thinking this way. And so here's the math, here's the facts. When you study the hundreds and hundreds of deals, of SaaS deals that happen every year, the impact on the valuation is, for every dollar spent, I guess I'll caveat one more thing that complicates this. A lot of people think about this in terms of lifetime value of a client. That's really hard as a startup because, like, what if you've only been around 2 years when you think your average client lifetime value is 5 years, but you don't know that, you've only been around 2 years. So when you look at how companies are valued, you look at 1 year customer acquisition costs. Okay, so let's think about that. For every dollar you spend in a year to get a customer, that client needs to give you 74 cents back. Okay, a dollar you spend on marketing and sales needs to give you 74 cents back. Another way to think about that is payback period would be like about 15 months. Okay, I know that's counterintuitive because you're saying, well, Luke, that means in year 1, I've lost money, and that's not even counting for like our rent or customer support or taking team members out to lunch, things that are incredibly crucial to running a business. But I'm not here to argue that. I'm here to say this is how a company is valued. This is how a SaaS company is valued. It's different. It's different than a service business and a restaurant and other things like that. So those are the 7. download the Valuation Navigator to get those and some of the math backing it up. I want to address a common myth. A common myth is that, hey, wait a minute. Like, those are the 7, but like, what if I'm a shark negotiator? Or what if like I'm cash rich or cash poor? Aren't those things gonna affect the negotiation dramatically? And here's the reality. They do, but once again, think about it like buying a home. You can get a better deal on a home if you're all cash offer or things like that, or you're a shark negotiator, you find the perfect opportunity, but it doesn't change the facts that it's in this school district or the comps in the neighborhood of this. Like, yes, it can, but it's not, the myth isn't that's the primary. No, the truth is those 7 are the primary, and then there's factors that can adjust it either way, and in rare circumstances they can supersede some of those, but you got to start with those 7. So I hope this video finds you well. I want to encourage you to subscribe if you like it. I challenge you to write a comment in here if this is something you agree with, disagree with, if you have a different experience, similar experience, how it's changing your thinking. Download the Valuation Navigator. And I also just want to let you know that the definition of serendipity is the chance development of events in a beneficial way. And I want to encourage you to keep growing and go create your own serendipity. Thank you.